Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Run Jump Stomp. This is a bonus episode. I don't know the number, but it'll have a subcategory of P. The P is for Peachy. She is really awesome and has agreed to come on the show and talk to me about basically like her history as a gamer and, you know, what she thinks about games and things like that. She's a streamer on Twitch, and for those of the people who are listening or watching who don't know who she is, why don't you tell us a little bit, maybe like the elevator pitch for your channel?
All right. Well, I am a full-time Twitch streamer and a YouTuber. I specialize in Guild Wars 2, though I'm a variety streamer now. I do a lot of different games in a lot of different genres. MMOs. I'm into. Never thought I'd be into FPS, but Overwatch and RPGs. I do a little bit of everything, whatever catches my interest. And over on YouTube, if you like Sailor Moon, I'm very into that as well.
Oh, nice. I never really got into Sailor Moon myself, but I always loved the art style of that. Like, is Sailor Moon considered anime?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've always loved the anime art style. I guess the only anime that I ever got into would be, and some people might say that this isn't anime, but Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. Like, my son and I watched that, and we absolutely loved those shows.
That's a great series.
It is. So where did your name come from for, like, AuroraPeachy? It's very unique.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you think so. Well, Aurora has a little bit of a history. Actually, originally came from my very first Guild Wars 1 character. I named her Aurora after seeing a space show about the Aurora Borealis. And that name kind of stuck. After I started playing Guild Wars 1, I started participating in Dagger Here events, which is a medieval themed foam weapon fighting sport. And there's campouts and role playing, and everybody dresses up, and it's really fun. And I still do that every year. And everybody has their own persona, their own name, and my name was Aurora in that game. So the name had multiple things that I identified with. So I chose Aurora, and then I couldn't just be Aurora. So I love Mario RPG. It's one of my favorite video games, and I love Princess Peach. So and I cosplayed her. So I just Aurora and Peachy. I put the two together and said, that sounds good.
That's awesome. My Run Jump Stomp is the name of my channel, and Run Jump Stomp is like the where I got the name for that was the three things that Mario does, because he runs, he jumps, and he stomps on stuff. So it's funny that they're both kind of have that same provenance to the names.
Yeah.
There's a book. I wish I could remember the name of the book. I'll email it to you afterwards, and I'll throw it on the YouTube link for people who are listening or watching. There's this book that I read a couple years ago, and it's all about this guy who, he was like a big nerd in high school, and then in college he talked himself out of being a nerd, and then he was like, you know what, I'm going to go back to being the nerd that I feel like I am, and he's going to write this book about it. And he went and did the thing that you were talking about with LARPing. Is LARPing the same thing as what you're talking about, right?
It can be LARPing. It's one of those things that some people will say it is the same, and some people will say, oh no, that's something completely different. I think the biggest difference is that we don't use Dagger here doesn't use magic. It's more of a sport.
Okay.
Although people do role play, so but you could say it's LARPing. It's a form of LARPing.
If I find the title of that book, I'll make sure to get it to you, because it was fantastically written. Awesome. So what's your history as a gamer? Like, where did you start out with, and why do you play video games?
I have been playing video games my entire life, ever since I don't even know how old, but old enough to use a computer. I was playing preschool bus and preschool bowling on DOS. I was lucky enough that my dad was very into technology and computers. And so he had a computer at home. I was born in '84. So in the '80s, not everybody had a home computer. So I was very lucky there. And so he was always getting games for me and my sister. I grew up with Kid Pix and learning games, Math Blaster, and DuckTales games, and that was my childhood. Is I just loved playing games even before I got consoles. My grandma had an Atari, so we would play Atari when we went over there, and then we got a Super Nintendo, and it just kept going and going and going. So video games have always been a part of my life, and I've always just loved them. It's very nostalgic for me, and it's just there's never been a time in my life where I haven't actively played video games.
So you started out on the PC. What was your first console that you got? The Super Nintendo or the Nintendo?
My first console was the Super Nintendo.
And if you had to pick, and this is where you got to be careful because somebody's going to come out of the woodwork with pitchforks and torches. Which, by the way, pitchforks should be a weapon in Guild Wars. That just occurred to me.
Yes.
Pitchforks and torches are going to be coming out. Are you more of a console gamer or PC?
Now I'm definitely more of a PC gamer. I used to be more of a console gamer, like in my teens, just because I was a Nintendo kid. Super Nintendo, 64, GameCube was like my glory years of the consoles, and so today I would say I'm more PC.
And so you were Nintendo. Did you only own the Nintendo, or did you also have Sega and just preferred the Nintendo? I'm just curious because I flip-flopped all the time.
Yeah, I was always mainly Nintendo. There was a point where I had a PlayStation, but I was always I've always been, and I still even am. I always own consoles like 2 or 3 years after they launch. I never ever have had a console like as soon as it launches. I always wait for the price to drop. So I've owned a PlayStation. I've owned a PS2 in the past, but my heart was always Nintendo.
What's your favorite kind of game to play, either on a console or PC?
Oh my gosh. I mean, my heart belongs to Guild Wars 2, but it's kind of funny nowadays. I play so many different kinds of games and so many genres. Whereas growing up, I was almost like I was a mono gamer. Like I had my one game that I played to death. Maybe sometimes I switched to one other, but like I was I did not play the variety of games that I play nowadays. So it's hard for me to pick a genre. Some of my favorite genres are definitely now MMOs. I've always loved strategy, any kind of strategy. I just love simulation, RPGs. That those kind of genres are definitely what I gravitate towards.
Do you like RTS or turn-based?
Oh yes. RTS, Age of Empires. I grew up with Age of Empires. Love it. Rise of Nations, Age of Mythology, any of those RTS games, I love them.
Yeah, they kind of have gone by the wayside. You can't really get, I mean, outside of StarCraft, there's not a whole lot of RTSs out there.
That's true. I don't know. You can't beat Age of Empires. Yeah, it's just too classic.
My father-in-law, he was over for Thanksgiving, and he was asking because he's about to get internet for the first time in he's never had internet at his house.
Oh
and he was like, what games can I get for a computer? And I was just kind of going through the list, and I said Age of Empires, and he goes, I remember playing an Age of Empires game. So that's a game that just spans like so many niches. Just everybody can identify with that game. I remember putting hours into Age of Empires 2. I never played the first one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then Age of Mythology came out, but I just didn't. For me, it didn't hold a candle to the
No.
2.
No.
Yeah. And I like that you said that you were a mono gamer. I wonder if that was because of who you were, or because of back then there was just so little choice. There weren't nearly as many types of games, and there weren't nearly as like you look on Steam and there's like 58 games coming out every second.
Yeah, well, the indie scene, the rise of indie gamers, indie developers, changed that.
Oh yes, it's huge. It's like I think it was Xbox 360 where they when they first started opening it up to just any schmo who could program. Uh, it really changed the playing field. What's your favorite indie game?
Especially right now, I've got to give it to This War of Mine. Fantastic strategy game, very atmospheric, kind of like people compare it to a post-apocalyptic Sims. It's got that micromanagement and that survival aspect where you have to keep them alive and you have to manage their home and craft things. But then there's a whole, there's morality choices in there where, you might not survive unless you steal from someone else, which makes them possibly starve. It's a very dark game. It's actually based on the real Bosnian War. But it's my current obsession. So it's just phenomenal. I love it.
Awesome. What is your guilty pleasure game? Here's what I mean by that. And this is something somebody actually sent in. What's one of the games that you love to play that pretty much everybody else says that's not really that good a game?
Ooh, boy. I want to like take a look at my Steam list and see like, let's see what game. It's you know what it's hard nowadays to pick a game that that like a lot of people know, but that's not like not I can't say not good. Actually, I've got a perfect one for you. Pokemon Go.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I love Pokemon Go. I play it with my son.
It gets a lot of flack. I'm very sad that it's only 4 months old, and millions upon people are playing it. But it gets a lot of flack. It was in the limelight. It was in the main spotlight. It was a mainstream fad for about a month after it came out, and then it died down. And suddenly, it's like this black sheep. Like, you still play Pokemon Go? And it's like, yes. I literally last weekend I was off and I played about 7 hours of it. And this is all outside my house. You have to leave your house to play it. So
you gotta be walking around with like a backpack full of battery packs for 7 hours of Pokemon Go.
I think I charged my phone up to full 3 times
wow.
in one day because I was playing so much.
What do you think that the Pokemon Company should have done differently with the launch of Pokemon Go? I mean, it's easy to backseat game, but I'm just curious.
Sure. There's a lot of features in the game now that I think it should have launched with. There's been a lot of improvements to the game just in these past couple months. And I wish that people who only played it, for the month after it came out would have been able to experience some of these features. I can't quite think of anything like very specifically, but lots of little quality of life features. They're doing special events now. Just massive improvements. I mean, the servers were so shoddy, that first month or two because they didn't expect as many people. They didn't expect it to go mainstream. And so when it did, they had serious problems, and they actually had to have like bigger companies bail them out and increase their server load and stuff. So those first couple months, even though everybody was playing it, it was very, very rough. So I wish that they just would have been able to anticipate as the load that they were going to bear and the number of people so that they would have been better prepared for it.
Yeah, I think that, I know that it's the Pokemon Company and Niantic. It's not actually Nintendo, but I think maybe they caught something from Nintendo because Nintendo recently, and I'm a huge fan of Nintendo. I have a podcast called Switchcraft about the Nintendo Switch. So I'm like a big nerd when it comes to Nintendo. And I feel like lately, they've been dropping the ball a lot on being prepared with how much demand a product that they release is going to cause.
I am at the point where I literally have like text messages set up and things to ping me, browser windows open at all times to ping me if a Pokemon Go Plus, the little Bluetooth wristwatch that that can help you play Pokemon Go. If one of those goes on sale and they sell out in literally a minute, I have all these little alarms that will go off to tell me that it's gone on sale because they so did not anticipate the popularity of this product, and now it is simply unavailable unless you want to buy it from a scalper or whatever you want to call them. So that I'm very familiar and with Nintendo and their short supply in regards to in comparison to the demand for their products.
Did
Same thing with
you
Amiibos.
Yeah, the amiibos are really well. They started out really bad. I think that they've kind of fixed that over time, but that might
Yeah,
be. Is that because demand went down, or is that because they figured something out? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Did you get your hands on the NES Classic, or was that not something you were interested in?
I knew about the existence of that about a day before it came
Oh,
out.
okay.
And I heard people talking about it, and that wasn't something that I was interested in getting. But that was the same thing where you literally go to a GameStop, and I went to a GameStop over the weekend, and they had a little poster on the door that said, we will post here if we have the NES Classic in stock, but everything just said sold out, sold out, sold out,
Don't come
and
in here.
it's yeah, it's don't ask us about it. It's sad to see that. It makes me very sad to see that because I know there's people who desperately, desperately wanted one and they weren't available. They can't get one. And, I'm sitting here literally dreaming about finding a Pokemon Go Plus. And I'm like, I feel your pain. I feel your pain. Nintendo, just make more. Come on.
Just take our money.
Take my money, Nintendo. I literally take my money, and they literally can't because there's no supply.
Yeah. So you're a pro streamer and a YouTuber. What is the hardest part of your job?
I would say the hardest part is for me personally. It's going to vary between everyone, but for me personally, it's the managing between work and downtime. It's a job like any other. There's a time when I'm at work. When the stream is live, and I have to commentate, entertain, talk to the audience, and manage all of the 16 programs that are running on my PC, and make sure everything's working right. Hope the internet doesn't go out. There's that part of it, but then there's the behind. Oh, I'm sorry. But then there's
Bless
the
you.
behind dealing with puppies. But then dealing with the behind the scenes stuff. When the stream goes offline, that is far from the end of my workday. There's managing the community, keeping up with them. There's doing all the just managing all the different aspects of being a streamer, of being a professional streamer. If you want to do all of that community management besides just turn the stream on and off, and trying to manage all of that working from home, and having downtime, having relaxation time. It's hard to leave work at work. It's almost impossible, actually. And I've heard that from most streamers. It's you're constantly 100% of your time you are thinking about how can I improve the stream. How can I do this? I still have this on my to-do list. So definitely that time management is a very difficult aspect of it.
How much time do you think you spend outside of streaming working on your job? Just, I mean, if you can ballpark it.
Yeah, no, I would say, when the stream is offline and when I'm not sleeping, I would say about half of the time is spent with other stream or community related, work or activities. So whatever that would, calculate to. Like I said, when the stream goes offline, the work day is far from over. And even on my days off, usually about half of my days off go to some sort of stream management or community management activity.
Do you feel like because you work from home, like you get a little stir crazy because you're in the house all the time and you're like, okay, I have got to go somewhere. Like everybody else who has like a regular job, they get to leave the house and go do stuff, and then they come home to home. Do you feel like I've got to get out of here or I'm gonna go crazy?
um, yes and no. I definitely feel that way sometimes. But I have always my entire life been a homebody, been an introvert. I love being at home. And I'm lucky enough to have a wonderful husband and puppies. So I enjoy being at home. It's not like I have this roommate that I have to get away from, Um, so but I definitely do get that. Like on my days off, I'll be like, okay, I've got to get out of here. And now that I have Pokemon Go, always have something to do when I leave the house. But yes, absolutely, I do get like that. Maybe not as much as other people. Like some people will, if they don't get out of the house one day, they just, go stir crazy and need to get out. I definitely am not that bad. But absolutely, there are times when I'm like, I just have to get out of here just to clear my head, just to get away from the screens and the temptation to go sit on my desktop.
Sometimes, do you sometimes sit down at your desktop and you're playing a game and you're not streaming and you think, damn it, I should be streaming this? Do you ever feel guilty?
Yes.
Like I'm not, like I also stream, and sometimes I'm like, I want to play such and such a game. I can't play that without streaming it, so I just put it off. That happen to you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It used to happen a lot more because I've been doing this full time for, over a year. It used to happen more. I would feel guilty for playing any game. Now it's more, like I can't play, there's certain games that I'm playing, like story mode on stream. And so I can't continue it offline, even if I feel like it, because then, the audience will miss something. But then there's other games, Stardew Valley. I kind of have my alternate account, like, okay, well, I can't play the rhubarb farm because everybody in chat is, in the viewers are following this story, but I can go play the Peachy Chan farm, if I want to play it in my downtime. So there's aspects of it. Certain games, I can play offline and feel guilty about it, and certain games I don't.
uh, Real quick, let's say that bandwidth caps are put in the U.S., and that makes that streaming video games is no longer really an option. What do you do for a job after that?
Oh God. That was pretty much my life before I found streaming. I've really never known where I fit in whatever you want to call it, in society, in like, I don't know what. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry if you can hear my kids scratching at the door. Shh.
It's okay. They're adorable.
um but my entire life I've never really known where I fit, what I'm supposed to be, what I want to be. And if I when I found streaming, that was where I found my fit. And gosh, if I couldn't do that, I think that I would have to try to use the connections that I have made to try and get something in maybe community management, or some kind of working with the game company, or even working with marketing, or I'm not sure. That would be the worst thing ever.
What do you do for fun that has nothing to do with video games?
Mm. Well, right now I've been binge watching The Office. Um,
The
but
first time through, or rewatching?
third time through.
Oh, nice.
The U.S. Office. But I'll just relax on the couch. That's my favorite downtime activity, relaxing on the couch, watching TV. I'll play with my puppies, and just spend time with my husband and my puppies. I used to be really into cosplay and sewing. Not so much anymore, partially because I just don't have the time for it anymore. For a long time, I didn't have the money for it, so that put a damper on it. Yeah, now it's mostly just I spend my free time hanging out with family, and watching TV is, Netflix and chill.
I'm not. Well, okay. um, what is it that you are? What is it that you're excited about these days? What are you looking forward to? Either a project that you've been working on, or something that's coming up that you just are excited for.
I am really excited for, I'm going to be doing a Super Mario RPG marathon where I play the game in one stream, the entire game, start to finish. It's my favorite game from my childhood. It's one of my favorite games ever. I mean, like when you say what's your favorite games, it's like Guild Wars, the Guild Wars series, Mario RPG. Like those are my two favorite games. And way back when I first started on YouTube, before I started on Twitch, I was a YouTuber for years. And my second Let's Play ever was Super Mario RPG because it's my favorite game. I never finished it. And I feel like I need to pay homage to this game that was such a huge part of my life. And so I'm going to be doing a start to finish charity live stream of that game. And I'm really looking forward to that. It's been months and months and months in the making. I'm working with, I'm going to be doing it for the RettSyndrome.org Foundation. And I'm getting them and Tiltify together. And if you guys don't know what Tiltify is, it's a platform that streamers can use to raise money for charity, and they do all the integrations with the pop-ups, and they have the donation page, and so they can make it all pretty for streamers, and all the tools that we need to make it an engaging live stream. So I'm waiting for RettSyndrome.org and Tiltify to do the paperwork and get together so that I can do that live stream. And so now I'm just kind of sitting on my hands and waiting for that email when they say, okay, we're ready to go, so I can schedule it.
Have you played? There's a new Super Mario RPG game out, isn't there? Or no, Paper Mario is Paper. Okay, so do you still like Paper Mario games, or do you just the original?
I mean, the original is my favorite. I've played most, if not all, of the Paper Mario games and love them. They're phenomenal. And they are technical successors. Nintendo has said they're the sequels to Mario RPG, or they're the the next game in the series. But us true fans don't accept that. There will never be a true Mario RPG too. But no, I love the Paper Mario games. I've played the Mario and Luigi games on the DS. Any of that kind of RPG style Mario game, I love them. They're very well done.
Yeah, I especially like the idea that they tapped into where it's turn-based, like in Final Fantasy, but you have to interact with it in order to give yourself a boost. I was listening to a podcast or watching a video, I can't remember which, the other day, and the person who was talking about it, they said that was their first RPG was Super Mario, and then their second game that they played was Final Fantasy VII. So they were sitting there trying to hit the circle button or whatever to time it, and the people are like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, well, "That's how you get crits and stuff." And they're like, "No, that's not how it works in Final Fantasy."
That was me. That was me. I mean, I've told the exact same story because that was my exact same experience. Super Mario RPG was my very first RPG before I even knew what an RPG was. That was my first game, and there's timed attacks in that game, and I had played that game 10 times through before I had played a Final Fantasy game, and I was doing the exact same thing. I was trying to do those timed attacks, and then halfway through I'm like, do I need to be hitting this button an extra time? I don't think I do. I don't think it makes a difference. And I looked it up and I was like, my gosh, it doesn't. And it didn't. It took me a long time for that to even compute in my head that there wasn't timed attacks.
So all right, this is not gaming related. You're in a car driving down the road. What are you listening to?
Oh my goodness. I listen to everything. I actually hate the question, what kind of music do you like? Because I like so much random music.
Well, here's a better question. If I'm in the car next to you and I look over, are you singing along?
Because you're in the car, no. If I didn't know you were in the car with me, yes, I would be singing along. My husband put it once, because I told him that. I said, I don't know what to tell people when, they ask what kind of music I listen to. And my husband has been in the car with my iPod, and, there's been nothing on the radio. So he'll go through my music and he's like, you've got an interesting mix of stuff on your MP3 player. And he said, I would tell people you listen to soundtracks. He said, it's definitely a little bit of everything, but it's all soundtracky. If that helps.
Speaking of Mr. P, I got a couple of questions. I said I was interviewing you, and a couple of people posted. First off, how to clone Mr. P is one thing that somebody asked, and then they also said, when is he going to write his book, How to Be Mr. P?
I need to tell him that. He'll start writing it.
They said that they would buy it, so I think that you're sitting on a gold mine there.
He actually is writing a novel, believe it or not, off and on. But I'm definitely going to have to suggest that to him. How to Be Mr. P. Yes, I love it.
Somebody else wants to know, where did Peachy Chan come from?
Oh my goodness. Well, Peachy Chan was created and drawn by Cherushi Metsumari. She's a fellow Peach, and she surprised me over a year ago with the Peachy Chan artwork, and she drew it in my image. She drew me, and she has this really adorable, anime inspired art style. And she said, here's a picture of you. And I just fell in love with it instantly. I said, can I use this, on my channel? And she said, yes. And so I did. And once I started using it on Twitch, I actually put the Peachy Chan head and everybody in chat start spamming Peachy Chans. I put the Peachy Chan head that you see as one of my emotes. When you reach a certain threshold of subscribers, you get 2 new emotes. And if you drop below that threshold, and you haven't submitted, there's a limited time that you have. So I just really quickly, I cut that little head out and put it in there as a placeholder emote. And everybody loved it. Everybody started using it. I said, we got to give her a name. We chose Peachy Chan. And just through, through the hilarity that happens when you stream every day, stories become, stories and just, she has become her own entity, and she now has a life of her own, and stories and lore attached to her. And she is beyond words, Miss Peachy Chan. But I love her.
Is there some place that you got an idea for the voice that you do for Peachy Chan? Because I know every once in a while when you're streaming, and for those of you that don't know, she'll shut the camera off and put this the cartoon version of her on there, and she'll start talking in a very high pitched voice.
Well, Peachy Chan, she came from, I don't know where the voice came from, but Peachy Chan, I mean, just look at my face. Just look at this face. And how can you not fall in love? I mean, how can you not fall in love? I'm going to shank you. But that's another story.
Very scary.
I don't know. I just started doing it.
The next question that a viewer asked was, how do you deal with having an income that fluctuates all the time? Is it terrifying?
Yes,
this is
definitely.
From somebody else who streams.
Yes. Now, at this point in my life, I am fortunate enough that, it fluctuates, but I'm always able to pay my bills between Patreon, Twitch donations, Twitch subs, Twitch bits, the tiny bit that YouTube gives me every month, from YouTube advertisements. All these little revenue sources, add up. And I'm lucky enough that at this point in my life, I'm able to pay my bills. I've given thought to, if I have children, that's going to be a huge expense. I'm going to have to work a lot harder to make certain quotas. It's not going to be enough to cover that. And some months are very, very, it fluctuates a lot. And I am terrified for the future. When I do have more expenses, how that's going to work. And it's very scary. You just have to do it. You have to work very hard. Try and make the minimum.
What do you think was the biggest thing you did that led to you being able to get enough followers to start doing this as a job?
Well, I give a lot of credit to the fact that I was a YouTuber for 2 or 3 years before I started on Twitch. So a lot of people came over from the YouTube channel and started watching. And I'm fortunate enough that, there's a lot of people who, no matter what I stream, they're going to come and watch. And I'm extremely, extremely fortunate that that is the case. I used to stream almost nothing but Guild Wars 2. And I started on YouTube. I had a huge audience from Guild Wars 2, and I had a huge for me, audience from Sailor Moon. And, portions of both of that audience came over to the Twitch channel and started watching. A lot of them still watch. You guys are awesome. So I think the biggest following just came from YouTube, and that's one of the biggest tips that I give to people who ask me. I'm going to start streaming on Twitch. Any suggestions? I'm like, you got to do more than just Twitch. You have to tweet. You have to Facebook. You have to, YouTube is very, very powerful for getting yourself known. And promote your Twitch channel on your YouTube channel. And so you have to branch out to a lot of different platforms.
Awesome. I guess my last question is, and this isn't really a question, but more of a request. Sometime, okay, you know how channels have currency?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so on mine currency, in my channel, it's action points. So people ask for action points or whatever. But because we have viewers in common, a lot of times people will type things like clams in mine, or they'll type peaches in mine. And so I got Bog Otter to record a thing for when people do clams. I was wondering if you could have Peachy Chan say something that I could isolate out, and then I could say when people type peaches, it'll say maybe they should go see you instead or something. I don't know.
That is phenomenal. I love it.
What would Peachy Chan say when people type peaches?
I think Peachy Chan. Let's see. Cleaches or plams, yes.
Oh, okay. Maybe because eggs?
I think it would be...
These aren't your peaches. Shanked.
Perfect. Thank you. Shanked. She's very violent.
She is. It's a loving shank, though.
All right, well, if you guys don't already follow AuroraPeachy, you absolutely should. Get over there, give her a follow. I'm sure that you do because she's awesome. I really appreciate you coming by and talking to me today.
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
I was wondering,